Hello, today I'm going to be talking about 6 image mistakes that businesses make on their social media all the time that can dramatically reduce the reach and the number of impressions that your posts get seen in the newsfeed. So join me today in discovering what those 6 mistakes are going to be. So I'm Bex from Social Media Executive, and I'm a social media trainer, and I train businesses all over the world how to excel in social media, meet their business objectives, and actually make money from social media rather than being a tick box exercise. Social media should form a core part of your marketing strategy, and it should be driving leads and inquiries. And if it's not, you're going to be doing it wrong. So I'm here to teach you what you don't know. So the first thing when it comes to images on social media, the first mistake that people make is putting too much text on their images. Okay, your images are the heart of your social media. People are scrolling through on their newsfeed. It doesn't matter what platform they're on, they're scrolling through, and the images are the first things that they're going to see. And if you create an image and then you clutter it with loads of text on it, it can be quite overwhelming. But not only that, I don't know about you, but when I'm scrolling through my newsfeed and I see an image with text on, I kind of think, oh, they're trying to sell to me. I'll just scroll on by. Okay, so again, I tend to ignore those types of posts. But also, one thing you've really got to remember when you're putting text on posts is that it really can be quite difficult to read on a mobile phone. And 50% of internet traffic these days is all on a mobile phone, according to Tech RT, who did some research on this. So about 60% of people are going to be on the mobile phone when they're looking at your images. So if your text is quite small, there's no way they're going to try and read it. Even if they zoom in, they're not going to bother. They're just going to stroll straight past. So that's the first mistake people make, is putting too much text on images. The second mistake that people make is using too much blue in the images. Okay. Now, if you think about social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, and X, don't know if you're still using that platform, but they all use blue in their logos. Okay. And a lot of corporate companies use blue as well, because when it comes to colour psychology, it helps to build up trust and professionalism and reliability. So an awful lot of companies do use blue. But the trouble with blue is it's very common. So you're not really going to stand out in the newsfeed. Okay. And that's what it's all about. If you can create bright, colourful posts, people are going to notice them a lot more than a corporate blue image. Okay, I always use Standout Socks as an example. They use this amazing vibrant orange. That's their brand. They always wear orange. There's always lots of orange in their posts, and their posts always stand out in the newsfeed. It looks fantastic. And also, orange is a great colour for creativity. The psychology behind it, it relates to enthusiasm, energy, and friendliness, and their posts just really do mirror that. So really, when you're thinking about your posts, think about colour, think about brightness and standing out. So the third mistake that people commonly make is they use stock images. So what do I mean by that? Images, free copyrighted images that you can find on the likes of Pixabay and things like that. You know, there are loads of stock images out there, but you've just got to be careful about using them, because they obviously are not your company photos. They're quite generic and they often don't reflect really your brand. They've also been used lots and lots of times. And social media platforms know when images have been used before and generally give it a lower reach. Okay. So if you're looking for images, I would try and avoid stock images. Real photos are much better. Even, dare I say it, you can create AI images, and they seem to be performing quite well, even on the likes of LinkedIn at the moment. Again, don't overuse them. but create images yourselves. You've got loads of free tools. You've got Canva, for example, out there. So, photos, create your own graphics. There's loads of ways to do it rather than using stock images these days. And very easy too. So the fourth mistake then is businesses make all their images about their business and selling stuff. Okay, this is one of my biggest bugbears. Yes, we need to sell on social media. But what we've got to remember is why our potential clients are on social media. They're not there to buy. Okay, if they were going to buy it, they'd Google it. They're not there to try and find, to be sold to. Okay, sales posts on social media can often feel a bit like being cold called. People just scroll straight past if all your posts are about selling your stuff and your products. Okay, so really what we want to see is a mixture. Yes, we should have some nice salesy images, but ultimately we want a mixture. We want to understand what our buyer wants to see. They're on social media to be interested, follow their interest, to be educated, inspired, entertained, not sold to. So really do an element of sales, but do an element of those types of posts as well. Okay, it could be behind the scenes, photos to build up trust, that sort of thing. Don't just do sales images. So the fifth mistake that people make is they don't look at the camera. And when you don't look at the camera, it's much less engaging. Looking at the camera actually builds trust. So the minute you're looking away, if you're taking a picture of me like this, then people are not really going to take much notice. But if you're staring right into the camera, it really builds that connection. It builds that trust. And as if you ever heard someone say, oh, it felt like their eyes were following me around the room. That's what you want on your social media images, because if you're scrolling straight through and you're making that direct eye contact right here, it makes such a difference, because people are attracted to images photos where people are looking into your eyes, basically. Okay, so really think about focusing and looking at the camera directly. So the sixth and final mistake is the biggest and most important mistake that could cost you an awful lot of money if you are not careful. And I see it being done time and time again. Okay, and that is basically copying other people's images and using them on their own social media. So I'm not talking about sharing posts. That's absolutely fine. You're sharing them, you're sharing someone else's posts. It comes through from their account. I am talking about clicking on it, right clicking, sharing, saving the image, and then using that image on your social media post. You might even snip it out, cut it out, and use that image on your social media post. You can't do that. It's copyrighted. If you have not taken that picture or paid for that image or created that image, it's not yours to use, and you could be sued. Okay, so, and I've seen it quite a number of times over the past 10 years that I've been in the social media field. I've seen it quite a number of times where people have been approached and threatened with court case because they've used other people's images, particularly your branded images and things like that, pictures of famous people. You can't use them. You don't own those images. So again, just be careful when you are using your images. You've got to take the pictures yourselves and use those images, even if it's a photo of you, but you've not paid for that photo. It may have been another photographer. That photographer owns that image. So again, always ask permission. So those are my 6 top mistakes that I see businesses making all the time on their social media images. So do let me know of other mistakes you spotted that you don't like in the comments, because I'd love to know. There are plenty of more mistakes people make, but let me know in the comments what they are and what really you don't like to see, because it all helps us to learn what we're doing. So if you've enjoyed this video, please do give us a thumbs up. Please do give us a like. And if you want more help and support on social media, please do visit my website where I've got listed all my next upcoming masterclasses and webinars. You will find listed there. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you again for more tips and advice on social media. See you soon.